Yo, 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 what's going on with y'all, man? This is your main man, the Painted Man, coming to y'all again from the Math Guy Facebook page. And today we're going to be talking about the Breezy Bowl with a little bit of Algebra 1. Let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So, during the night of the Breezy Bowl in Orlando, Florida, there was 40,275 people stood outside the stadium 45 minutes after the doors opened for admissions into the Breezy Bowl, right? So the rate at which attendees were waiting outside Camping World Stadium was decreasing by 1,027 attendees every 5 minutes. All righty, so it looks like we got a situation here where we got some people that want to see Chris Brown, do his thing, and we just want to go see what they want us to do. They want us to write the equation in a line that represents the amount of fans waiting outside the stadium. All righty, okay, cool. So here we got to write the equation of a line. A line can also be represented as a linear function or a linear equation represented with two different variables here. So it looks like the two different variables, right? If I'm just looking at this particular situation here, there's two different variables. Do you know what they are? Okay, so one of them is going to be the people that are coming, right? So the people that stand outside, and then the other variable is going to be what? Minutes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So what kind of equation can we write? Well, when you write the equation for a linear function, there's three different types of equations you can write. You can write an equation that's written in standard form. You can write an equation that's written in what we call point slope form, and then you can write an equation that's written in slope intercept form. Now, of course, everybody already understands the slope intercept form. If you don't, it's the famous y equals mx plus b. And mostly when we use that one, we are either given a rate and then we're also given an initial starting point. Okay. So when we look at the situation here, we are given a rate, right? Where the rate is going to be a decreasing of 1,027 attendees every 5 minutes, right? But we're not given an actual starting point, right? Like we are given that there's 40,275 people that stood outside the stadium, but this was 45 minutes after the doors had already opened. So we're not going to use the slope intercept form here. We're actually going to go ahead and use the point slope form. And the point slope form is another equation we can use where you're actually given the rate, which is the slope, and then you're given a point that determines a situation that wasn't the actual starting point. Okay. And that is where we have the 40,275 people who stood outside the stadium for 45 minutes. Okay. So with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce you guys to this particular equation. Some of you guys may have seen it before. It is y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1, okay? And again, with this type of equation right here, we're using this because we are given a rate, right, which is the slope, and then we're also given a point in the situation that was not the starting point, okay? So what is the rate here? Well, the rate is what we have right here in purple, okay? So the m is going to be 1,000, not just any 1,000, it's going to be a negative 1,027 over 5 because the amount of people are decreasing. Okay, this is a decrease of people every 5 minutes. Okay, now we got to determine what is going to be x1 and what is going to be y1. Okay, so x1 and y1 is the point in the situation. Okay, so we have x1 is going to be the 45 minutes because that represents the x, and then 40,275 is going to be the y1. Okay, in the situation. So we're going to have 45, comma 40,000. What did I say? 275. Yeah. Now some of y'all might be asking, well, Pandy, wait, hold up. How can we know that 45 is going to be the x and y, and that the 40,275 is going to be the y? Well, let's look at it from a graphical standpoint. Okay. So from a graphical standpoint, I'm just going to draw like a simple graph over here off to the side. Okay. So let's say we were starting at somewhere, okay, or let's say we were talking about a situation right here. So let's say it's 45 minutes. So let's say right about here is about 45 minutes after the door is open. And let's say we are right here, okay? So this represents the 40,275, okay? So I'm just going to say 40K right here. As the time starts to increase, so as we start to go this way, then the amount of attendees that are waiting outside starts to decrease, okay? And that is why the 45 is going to be the x, because in your x-axis is always going to be the minutes, okay? In most cases, when you're given a word problem, your time is going to be the x-axis. That's what I should say. The time is going to be the x-axis. I'm going to say time in minutes, all right? And then over here, the amount of people is going to be the y, okay? Because the amount of people that we have outside is depending on how much time has went by, all right? So here we go. So let's go ahead and write the simple equation that we have. We're going to go ahead on and say y. I'm going to change the colors right quick. Oh, not that. There we go. So we're going to say y minus y1, which is now 40,275, equals the rate, which is m, which is also another name for slope. So it's going to be negative 1,027 over 5 equals, oh, not equals, but times x minus x1, which is going to be 45. Okay. And there we go. Okay. Now, that's just the one way that we could write this actual equation. I'm going to show you guys how to actually also transfer from this point slope form to the slope intercept form. Okay. So that we can find out how many people we actually started with at the beginning when the door is open. Okay. So from here, it's going to take us like 2 steps. That's all. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take this rate of change, which is here, and I'm going to distribute that here and then also here too as well. Okay. So on the left hand side, we're still going to have y minus the 40,275 equals, now when I do negative 1,027 over 5 times x, it's just negative 1,027 over 5 times x. Okay. Now, when I do negative 1,027 over 5 times negative 45, I'm going to need a little assistance with that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead on and bring out the old handy calculator here. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead on and bring this over here. We're going to go ahead on and do, let's see, we're going to do 1,027. We are going to make that negative. And then we can say times 45 or times negative 45. I'm going to say times 45, which is also negative. And after that, we're going to divide that by 5. All righty. Cool. So when we did that, we have a positive now 9,243. Okay. All right. So positive 9,243. Okay. So that was the first step. Now the next step is to go ahead on and get this y variable by itself. So we have a negative 40,275. We're going to go ahead and add that to the other side. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead on and add this over here. 40,275. And then plus over here with this constant number. Remember, I cannot add it over here because this has an x. So it'll be 40,275 over here as well. So this cancels, right? And then from there, we got the y by itself. So now it's going to be y equals negative 1,027 over 5 x plus, let's see, 3 and 5, that's going to be 8. Okay. 4 and 7 is going to be 11. Put the 1 at the top. That's going to be 5 there. Come up with some more room. 5, 1, 8. Put the comma here. We have 49 right there. Okay. So plus 49. Okay. Cool. So this is our equation now. So we just went from point slope form to slope intercept form. And so now this actually represents where we started from. Okay. Let me put a better 8. There we go. Alrighty. So this part right here, this first part right here lets us know what the slope is. And we already know that this is how many people are entering to the stadium, or how many people are, how much more is less waiting outside the stadium every 5 minutes. And then now we know where we started from. So we started with 49,518 people outside the stadium when the doors open. And then it decreased 1,027 people every 5 minutes. Okay. And that's it. Okay. Until next time.